Okay, yeah.
And we've been having mini podcasts like
Right
before
before.
every podcast.
The real question is, how much money is enough? Stay tuned for the next. Anyway, today, as you guys know, you guys are all on social media. Obviously, if you're listening to this podcast or watching this podcast, you're on some form of social media. Mm-hmm. Social media has become more and more difficult to navigate through for us normal
100%.
people, right? You have Twitter, Be Real, Threads, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, MySpace. I think no. Okay.
They tried
So yeah.
Did they try?
Yeah,
They tried. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's so many things out there, so we wanted to bring someone in here to kind of help you guys navigate through it. This guy, Matt Savvy, thank you for coming on the show, first of all.
Very, very good friend.
I've been very fortunate enough to see his rise to success. He was with me in 2019 when I first opened Self-Made. He was my go-to photographer, him, and shout out to his brother Jesse.
Yep.
And I've seen him from shooting in gyms, shooting the hype videos, to now working with like big production companies, starting his own media company. And so I thought, what better person to call in than you, because you've done everything, right? You've been from the bottom. Like your social media at one point had like 200 followers, right? And you just had like an Instagram, and now you've built it up. You built a social media company. So we have so many questions for you, but the first one is, what exactly with your company, what is it that you guys do? Do you consider yourself like a social media expert? Like, give us some details of what you do currently with your media company.
Definitely. So first of all, thank you for having me. Appreciate being here with you guys. You know, you guys are great. I'm a fan of the podcast. I watch the podcast, so it's really cool to just be on here. And to answer your question, so I help position, entrepreneurs to be industry leaders through social media. So I guess that would be what I do. So we buy short form video, scripting with the strategy, and just helping them build consistent content machine, you know what I mean, to grow their personal brand, to ultimately grow their business. So I say that's like kind of my focus and what I do.
Right. And I mean, nowadays, I feel like every business has to have a social media, right? Like even like if you're like a mom and pop anything, you should have a social media, because
it's free advertisement.
It's free, and I feel like that's what people go to first.
Well, yeah, and if that's where it's at now, I feel like advertising and everything is all social media.
So do you feel like there's a certain level you have to be at a business in order to like really have someone like an account manager for social media? So like if I opened a donut shop, should I wait till I have X amount of people, or should I start my business, and as I'm building out my building, should the next phase be having a content creator, or should a company wait on that?
Well, it really depends. Like when you start a business, you're like a Swiss Army knife. You have to do everything. You know what I mean? Because there is no budget for that. You know what I mean? So I think when you start, you got to just do what you can. And it's funny because I had this conversation with someone that I had done some production for before, and then they started posting like videos that they just did for themselves, and I liked it. And then they DM me. They're like, I feel like you judge my stuff. Like joking around, like I feel like you judge my stuff because it's not high quality like what you did for me. But then when I told them, I was like, I will never judge anyone that's putting effort into social media. I judge those that have the business that aren't creating videos or doing stuff for themselves, because it's just, you just have to get out there. You know what I mean? And it's funny because it's like, I've been for whatever reason comparing it a lot to like the gym now. You know what I mean? Because it's just a consistency thing, just showing up every day, putting it out, and then, just like, with all these gym guru coaches, and they'll say, this is how you find success. This is how you find success. It's the same thing with social media. Like, you have to do this, you have to do that. But, maybe those things will help a little bit, but ultimately it comes to showing up every day, the consistency. Yeah. And if you do that and have that foundation, you're going to find success. And yeah, you could do something, like working out, like, tweak your diet or tweak your routine or whatever it is, and it'll improve of what you're already doing, no doubt, but it's not necessarily going to change everything. And so that's kind of how it is with social media.
Yeah, I think that goes back to, it's not even the most talented person that's successful. It's the most consistent person, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because sometimes I'll see people that post things and I'm like, how did that go viral? Like, that's like literally like there's no editing whatsoever. It's just you with a camera. But some people aren't afraid to post, and I think that's where the real issue comes in. And that's why someone like you to help guide them is, like when I first reached out to you for Self-Made, I was like, I have no idea how to use the camera. I have no idea what I should be shooting, and then you guys came in and you guys helped me really build that foundation for what Self-Made is now, as far as like West Covina. So like I feel like a lot of the direction I ran with was what you pointed me in. like,
Yeah.
like highlight your trainers, highlight this. So
Mm-hmm.
I do see a big value in it, but also I know like starting a business, you're limited on funds.
Yeah.
Right. That's why I asked
Definitely.
that, because we always get people like, so how much do you pay like your content creator? I'm like, every year it's been different. You know, as we
Yeah.
make more money, we charge them a little, or we pay them a little bit more. As there's more apps that open up, do we want to be a presence on TikTok? Do we want to be a presence on YouTube? And there's so many outlets. Like right now with social media, what do you think is the most, like, I would say, prominent platform that people are using?
I would say there is no prominent, you know what I mean? It's just depending on what your goal is, that'll drive you towards a certain platform. You know what I mean? So I think of like YouTube, that is big for like educational space, you know what I mean? And growing like revenue. And then Instagram is really good for like cultivating relationships, building a community. And then TikTok is best for organic like sales and acquiring new customers and stuff like that. So it's kind of depending on where you are in your business and where you are, you know, in your industry or what industry you're in, like that'll kind of tell you where to channel your focus. Because especially if you're just starting your business, you know, you're just starting creating content, there's no way you're going to be able to do it all. You know what I mean? So you have to just find what works best for you and what is the need that you have. You know what I mean? So like if someone that maybe you're starting a business, but you have like a community already, you have like a good following on your personal account, then I would focus on Instagram because you're just cultivating what you already have. You know what I mean? Converting your community into clients. Or if it's like, you know, you don't have a social media following or you're really new, then like I would jump on TikTok because that's like best for organic reach, or now even Threads, which is brand new. You know what I mean? Because that's where you're going to be able to find the most return as far as new clients.
Yeah, no, we were kind of talking about that off air, and we'll kind of jump into Threads. I mean, that's the new app, and I think Meta did a great job of not so much like the platform itself we'll get into, but the fact that it's so easy to transition from your Instagram to Threads. Like you didn't have to sign up anything really. You just said, hey, do you want to transfer everything over? So it was so seamless. So they did a good job with that. I was never on Twitter, so that's why I always ask people, is it like Twitter? I mean, what I found with Threads, or what I'm finding with Threads, is it's so much easier to post. I feel like I could post more.
Yeah,
I feel
for
like
sure.
I'm not subjective to like, oh, what's the trending song? What's the popular time? What edit should we put on this? It's like literally a thought, and then you kind of go with it. With Threads being now out, do you think it rivals Twitter, you personally, or do you think it's something where they can coexist together?
Oh, definitely. I feel like it rivals it, and I think that was the intent of it, you know,
Yeah.
to rival it,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I think what it's doing, it's kind of a cause and effecting, and it's solving an issue that was created by Instagram. So with Instagram, you know what I mean? Like it's favoring original content. So it's like before, early on Instagram, like people were creating meme accounts and just posting funny things or reposting stuff that other people did, and the accounts would blow up and they'd be able to sell it or have all these followers and all that stuff. But now Instagram's favoring original content, organic content, and also highly produced content. You know what I mean? So there's a lot more thought, like we're talking earlier, you know, have to find a training sound, you know, have to find the right cover picture, and it's just a lot of effort and a lot of like production value there. And so what Threads is doing, it's like the organic, the easy side, you know what I mean? Like you said, like we just go on there and you can just post how you feel. And I feel like on Instagram, because of the high quality production, it kind of separates yourself from people, and like, man, like, dang, like look at them, you know, and look how great they are, look how great their video, their content looks, and I feel so far from them. And now with Threads, it's like, oh, like I can
They're
just
more
comment on that.
accessible.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
super more accessible, and it kind of builds that connection between your followers and yourself. You know what I mean? Like even for myself, I thought it was pretty cool because I'm a big Dodger fan. You guys know that. And so like David Vassay, who he's like kind of like a guy that follows the Dodgers. He like interviews the teams and all that stuff. And he posted something, and then I commented on it, and he liked it, and like he responded, and I was like, oh wow, like this would never happen on Instagram.
Never.
You know, never. And now like I go to his thread, and like he just created it, so he had like, you know, maybe 200 followers. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, I would have never been able to access this guy.
Definitely.
And now I was able to because of Thread. And it's going to do that for a lot of people and a lot of companies.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool. And we were kind of talking about that. Like I've had a couple of companies comment or like like my stuff that I followed on Instagram, but they have like millions of followers, and I'm like, they would have never noticed me.
Yeah, exactly.
And me just running Threads every 5 minutes about how I feel. You know, something caught their eye, and it's like now, if you are starting off, like if this is your first social media app that you have, like Threads, you're going to get recognized by people that have larger accounts on other platforms because it is so small right now.
Yeah.
You know, like some of the people that have 1 million followers are barely pushing like 20K on
Yeah.
Threads. So
Yeah.
it is a huge transition, and we kind of talked about that. So what would be the best strategy to like really maximize Threads? Like what's the goal for Threads in your personal opinion?
The goal of Threads, in my personal opinion, is to it's like just you got to play the game. You know what I mean? What's the game? So posting consistently, you know, commenting on other people that are like in your industry or in your niche, you know what I mean? Liking stuff and just doing all the things that Instagram and Thread want you to do. And because the main thing about like social media and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff is like usage time. Like they want to keep you on the app. They want to keep you engaged because that's where like they have ads, they have different stuff. You know what I mean? They want to keep you on their app. That's why even like,
And they want you to utilize everything that they put out there,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So like on
Utilize
Instagram,
everything.
they want you to make sure you're posting with the song, like of one picture with the song. They want you to make sure you're posting a reel. They want to make sure you're posting like all of those things.
Yeah.
And the people who are utilizing like all that they have to offer, those are the accounts that get pushed out more too, right?
Exactly, and they don't want you to leave their app. And so like even like if there's like a link to like a YouTube video and you click on it, it won't take you to your YouTube app.
It'll take-
open up inside of Instagram.
Its own browser.
So
Yeah.
they do everything to keep you
Damn, I
there.
never thought of that. You're right.
Yeah.
You know what
because
I
if you
mean?
want to see,
Even
you
when
have
you
to go
shop or click a link to shop, you're
Yeah.
still in
There's a
Instagram.
store
You're just
inside.
And now
And
they
now they
have
have
their
shop
cart
Instagram.
ready
Yep.
at all times. So even if you go back 3 days later, it's still
there.
waiting.
Exactly. So if you're spending more time on their app and you're doing all the things they want you to do, like you're gonna grow. And I think the goal of it is, like we kind of said already, is just to build that community and build that relationship. Because when you build that and nurture that relationship, it's gonna be easier to ask for sales or whatever it is, or you want to launch something. Like it's gonna be a lot easier to do it on Threads, you know, because it's like communication, it's organic, it feels like personal, as opposed to like an Instagram ad or Facebook ad or something, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I feel like it's harder to, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like it's harder to ask for a sale on Threads. I feel, and this is just my opinion, I feel like Threads is more where you're going to get people to really understand like your train of thought,
Your thought
and you
process,
as a
yeah.
person.
Like a personal
Your
branding.
personal-
Like a
your
personal brand, right? Like
personality,
I don't feel like, because you can't DM anyone, you
No.
know what I mean, and you don't want to spam Threads because Threads right now is
I'm
kind of
actually
like
glad you can't DM people.
100%.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah,
people
yeah.
would be getting a little crazy.
So I feel like Threads, and again, I never had a Twitter, but I feel like that's where people really get to know your personality,
Yep.
get to really know what your thought process is. Then they'll go to your Instagram and
Yeah,
they'll see
'cause,
your
I mean, they can
pictures, they'll
connect
kind of
it.
see that. So I mean, we
That's what we were talking about earlier,
we
how
kind
you
of talked
could-
about
yeah.
about how a lot of people that I did follow on Instagram, I don't follow on Threads. And not
Yes.
because I don't like them, it's
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they don't really have anything.
They're not
either
interesting?
funny. I don't want to say interesting because they're gonna go back and be like,
Yeah. Oh,
F
he
you,
doesn't
bitch.
follow me.
Yeah.
Follow me, so I must not be interesting.
His name's
But it's true. They don't have the personality to match
Yeah.
what
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
And I'm more interested in now what you have to say and your thought process than your photo.
Yeah, because they
Yeah.
gave you the option, right? Like, do you want to follow everybody that you follow on Instagram? And I was like, no.
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
nah.
me personally, I did that.
Yeah,
Or-
yeah.
I think I did it on accident. I don't know what I did on accident, but it still doesn't have me following my whole list. I don't
No,
think.
I did
but
that
I'm
too.
like,
I just went, no. I just, because that's what I do when I sign up for app. No. Because you know how like you set up your iPhone and it goes, do you want it? No.
Yeah.
I'll do it when I have time. And I didn't realize that that's what it meant.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think Threads right now, I don't even want to use the word exposing because I feel like it's not, you know, everyone has their own lane.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's really bringing to light like how many people really do have deep thoughts or are funny
Yeah.
that you never met. Because there's a trainer I follow on Instagram and all his Instagram pictures are just him being buff and he looks scary. Right on his Threads, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you need more of this on your Instagram, but it's like I don't. Maybe he doesn't not
because like how to
comfortable for the
translate
camera.
that into a photo sometimes it's a little
Yeah.
hard unless you're comfortable speaking, but some people are more comfortable just like
Yeah.
writing
Yeah.
than they are with the camera in front of their face speaking, so it's a
Correct.
little harder for them to showcase their personality,
Mm-hmm.
but it's easier for them to write
and
their
and
thoughts
that's why
out.
they're kind of intertwined, connected, like Instagram and Thread, because you know it's not supposed to be that. Maybe sometimes you know you're not able to put your personality as much because of like brand deals or different
Yep.
stuff. There's guidelines,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I can't post this, I can't say stuff about this,
Facts.
otherwise I'm not gonna get this check.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
And-
sure.
But on Threads, you know, it's
Free
like
game.
like
Whatever
the
you wanna
freedom of
do.
speech,
Yeah.
whatever you want to say,
Yeah.
whatever. And even like what I've seen a lot of people are starting to find success is like not even original thoughts, but they'll like kind of in a sense, I don't even, what is it, retweet
Yeah.
an original
That's
thought
called
of someone
rethread,
else
yeah.
Yeah.
and give like your own perspective on it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
that's getting a lot of traction as well.
I'm gonna just say my screen time has definitely went up since Threads. Because on Instagram, I mostly just go on like, and I'll post like photos, maybe like, and that's it. But I'm not on Instagram scrolling through. So my interaction isn't very high on Instagram because I'm not interacting really on Instagram. But on Threads, like I'm more interested, like I said, in what people have to say. So I'm definitely on Threads a lot. Like I'm like, what are people? And I get caught. Like I'm just laying in bed.
Just
being nosy. Like what did this person have to say? And then it's funny because there's a lot of funny stuff on there too.
And it's like it's a cause and effect because of social media, because like I feel like there's a big shift in like informative stuff, you know what I mean? Like I even saw something that there was like Twitter has or is about to surpass Google as like the #1 search engine. So people are not like Googling stuff anymore. They're looking it up on TikTok.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And how to this,
TikTok.
how to that. And you're finding, so it's like a lot of more information, that people are gathering and taking in. And so what is Thread? It's like information, it's thoughts, you know what I mean? And people are so drawn to that right now.
That's really interesting that you say that, because just the other day when I diagnosed my friend with high cholesterol and high glucose, she was like, gosh, now I got a TikTok how to lower my cholesterol and balance my glucose levels. And I said, did you just say you got a TikTok? Because I don't know TikTok really. Like I have, and she's like, yeah, TikTok has all the answers. And I was just dying because I'm like, Google, but that's so old school. People really are going on TikTok to find out like how to do things.
Yeah, no, that's scary.
So funny.
If you go on WebMD and you're like, oh, I got a stomach ache, oh, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
Yeah.
every single time, right? Like, oh, you got a stomach ache. It could be because you have
But TikTok's
XYZ.
giving you, and that's, you're right. It'll just it'll give you.
And it's
different-
crazy because it's because how our generations are like preferring to consume content. So you can Google stuff and then you'll find articles and stuff, and then you have to read this whole article.
Yeah, no, we just
and
want
all
the
that
straight
stuff.
answer.
You go to TikTok, you have a 30-second video that's gonna give you the answer, and they're gonna speak it to you. You don't have to read it.
and tell you how to cure
exactly.
to cure it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I never really did that because I guess 'cause I'm a millennial too. I'm not like a Gen Zer, so I was always like a Google guy or like Chat GPT now. But since I saw that and I read that, I started doing it. I'm like, this is so much easier. Like, you know what I mean? I'm finding exactly what I was looking for.
Huh.
So with
I gotta try
with
it.
Threads, you think Threads is, and I mean, just because it's so well, linked with Instagram, I don't think it's going to go away. But I know a lot, like we were talking about, Be Real took off, and now it's like a lot of people aren't using it as much. Do you think that's like something that could happen with Threads? Because I feel like we've been trained to like visually absorb content instead of just like reading. I mean, we're older, so maybe it is funny to us, but like the younger generation is like, oh, I want to see pictures, I want to see videos. Do you think Threads is something that will ever surpass Instagram as far as like users, or you think Instagram will always be like the main and Threads is kind of like the little brother?
I feel like it's too early to tell, but what I do know is that Threads has been the fastest platform to get 100 million followers. Like what took Instagram, I want to say like 2 weeks, took Threads 2 days.
Wow.
And so it's growing faster than any other platform ever has. And because it's backed by Instagram, like I don't know if it'll like surpass it, but like they're gonna grow together.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's also because it's just hype, right? And then there's that whole thing with like Elon and like how they're gonna fight.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's kind of something that also helped like push that, so people were just more so just like they're interested in it and like just wanted to be on that hype and just kind of nosy in a sense too?
So this is like my random conspiracy thought. You know what I mean? Like I haven't really heard it, but I'm like, okay, it's rivaling. It's just the same thing now. There's all this press. Oh, they're suing each other. They're gonna fight each other. Like, what if Elon's gonna sell Twitter to what's his name, Zuckerberg?
Which is true too.
Yeah.
That's possible.
Like, don't quote me on that. That was something, just a random thought that I had. You know what I mean? There's no factual evidence to that. Just of like different things that I've seen, but it is because they're literally the same. You know what I mean? And then Elon Musk bought it, but like he doesn't care about Twitter now. You know what I mean?
No.
Like he's trying to get to the moon. He's building Teslas, all this other stuff. You know what I mean?
He's at raves. I saw a video of
He's
him.
at
I
raves,
saw him
you
at
know?
a video just like at a rave, just someone on my Instagram was posting and they're like Elon, and he was just there with his hand up. I was like, oh, look at him, just living life.
Because that's what I've seen. Like Mark Zuckerberg has done. Like when Instagram was growing in popularity, like what did he do? He bought it.
He bought it, yeah.
You know what I mean? Now it's part of his whole meta universe, and now Threads. So like I think he's just trying to like monopolize everything, and then Elon's buying into that.
It's so crazy because I mean, like when we talked about this, like you're both billionaires.
Yeah.
At what point do you care? Like, "Hey, I'm going to offer you X amount of billions." Like,
Yeah.
where does that go? What do you care about it? But I think more at that level where they're at, it's more like an ego thing. So I think
Yeah.
Elon is very big on his ego. So I don't
Yeah.
know if he would sell it to him to Mark just to be a jerk about it.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
not even
Yeah.
like can I make a profit? Because I'm like, bro, you literally build cars and
He doesn't need
spaceships.
it.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
what do you need it now? I think he originally bought Twitter to be an asshole and to
Yeah.
be like,
Definitely.
okay, you guys want to censor me? Well, then guess what? I'm gonna buy your company because that's
Yeah,
everyone's
yeah.
dream,
Yeah.
right?
True.
Sure.
That's everyone's dream. You go in and waitress is like mean to you. You're like, I'm gonna buy this restaurant and
Yeah.
I'm gonna fire you.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Like I've never used Twitter again. So is there really a big difference between the two? Like
Is there a character count limit on Threads? Because
I don't know, to be
Twitter
honest. There is.
160 or
Is
There
Okay.
is a character count.
There is.
Because I was trying to write a whole
Same.
thing, and it was. I was like,
Same.
all of a
This
sudden
is
it
how I
started
feel
turning
right
like this. It was like highlighted in burgundy.
Red.
I was like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, what? And then I realized I'm like, oh,
But I
it's
felt like
there's
your flag post was a lot of like what is
no.
that?
So like I had more red flags, and then
you have to delete that.
I had way more red flags
There's, like,
as
paragraphs on
as I'm typing, and then it started turning red. I go, oh damn, what is that? Is that like a link to something? So and then I saw.
Unlock a new
I
feature
was
right here.
literally trying to tell a funny story, and I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm over it.
So
Yeah,
100%.
break
But
up.
I
I
will
think
speak to it. I'll
There
just
is
speak to
a
Instagram.
limit for sure.
but Twitter has a short. I think from what I gathered, Twitter was cool because you had to come up with something within a certain amount of characters.
160 characters.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
I haven't been
So it had
on
to be,
Twitter
like,
since
quick.
like
Yeah, I've never been big on Twitter.
2007 or
Okay,
something.
yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is that people are like, oh, I talk to some people. They're like, oh, Twitter's better still because it's I don't know. Maybe it's just a cleaner platform, but I don't really see what the difference. That's why I asked. Like, is there
Yeah.
a big difference between the two? I mean,
And I'm sure they're gonna like. They're still working on this app of course
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
and they're gonna start doing
definitely.
tweaks and you know what I mean.
For sure.
So-
I think one of the biggest things is like that I don't like about it is all the people I follow, I can't even see like on my, I guess if you call it explore page or your front page,
Yeah.
it's the most random people. I'm like, who are these
is
people?
This person? And I'll start
Yeah, how
muting
did they
it.
decide
to
I don't
get in
care.
my-
You're-
Well, that's kind of what you have to do because it's like
I'll start
it's
muting
all
people.
algorithm based. It's not who posts the most recent or anything like that. It's completely algorithm based. So like as you start liking stuff, you start muting stuff, it'll start being more tailor made to what you prefer to be consuming.
Ah.
So
Yeah, I've
it
been
just
using
takes time. It
I've been
takes
using
time.
that mute button a
Yeah,
lot. So
yeah.
I'm like, I don't even care. You're
I didn't know
not
that was
funny.
a button.
Oh, really? I don't mute anybody.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
You don't have to necessarily mute it, but it's
Yeah.
just like just don't engage with it. You know, so if you're engaging with a certain stuff, like they'll pick it up in the algorithm. Okay, he likes this type of stuff, so we'll show more of this.
Oh, I'm muting.
But that'll do it a lot faster.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That'll do
It'll do it a lot faster. Like, I did not mess with this, and I'll let you know right now.
So now even with like social media expanding at such a fast rate, you know, you got Threads, you got Instagram, you got all this stuff, and now you have like AI coming and it's becoming more prominent. And again, this is kind of year round, right? Like I know you and I talked, and AI has helped you with a lot of the work that you currently do.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
It's been
Yeah.
like the best work partner assistant that you had. Like where do you see? And I just posted something on my story of like a guy that created a whole brand.
It was you who posted. Yeah.
He posted he
Crazy.
made a whole athletic brand in 2 minutes or like 5 minutes
Using chat.
Do you feel like that's AI is going to eventually like get rid of actual like content creators, like original thoughts? Do you think people are going to be like, I want to do a reel about sports that include da da da, and it would just kind of generate it for you? Like,
No, definitely not. It's gonna just force people to be more creative. So it's not necessarily like even people are like, oh, AI is gonna replacing people's jobs. Well, it'll replace some people's jobs that are not adapting. But if you learn how to utilize AI, then you're creating more work for yourself and more opportunity for yourself. So like now, because like I even think of it like for video scripts and stuff like that. So we'll use like, you know, open AI to help us write scripts for certain stuff, but that'll only be about 50 to 60%. And then we put in our own twist and what we think is working, because, you know, we can both go to open AI and ask the same question and get the same exact answer. So how do we differentiate ourselves? That's where our creativity and our human nature and our
Wow.
thought process be able to separate people.
People could literally use that to write themselves a whole book.
It's absolutely.
yeah, I'm intrigued to and it's like literally I feel like since this year, which is what are we in July? Like people went from oh that's cool to like whoa this is crazy, it could take over jobs, like
It
if you
literally
look at
can.
writers, if you look at stuff like that, and that's been like 6-7 months. So I could imagine what it's going to be in
I think
2
just
years.
like have you been into certain grocery stores or things like that, like they're taking away the workers and you're just checking yourself out. And I'm just like, excuse me, where's somebody to help me?
Or like a
they're
scanner
like,
if you
the
put it in
scanner,
the-
like
Yeah,
now
yeah.
they're, and they're only having like 2 people work and you're checking yourself out. There's literally no one working in the whole store at all. Like you can't ask. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, I still feel like nothing can replace human
There,
interaction.
there's even like
you know? But,
McDonald's that are fully automated.
that.
You see that
Yeah.
online, like
Yeah, I
crazy.
saw
I'm like,
that.
what happened
no
if you didn't
worker.
give me my fries or you didn't put extra pickles? Then what happened? Who am I speaking to?
But that's the thing.
Less room for
Machines
error,
don't make
probably.
mistakes.
Yeah.
They don't really make mistakes,
They
and
don't
it's
make
crazy
mistakes.
because they even like I live in Eastfield, so there's like a Carl's Jr. by me, Ontario Ranch. When you order food, it's like AI or it's like a robot. Like there's not
Really?
someone taking my order anymore.
Yeah.
And so like I was like okay, and I did like no pickles or something like that, and then it got it all right. Of course, the
Yeah.
people are making it, but it was able to take the orders and stuff like that.
Like at certain
and
hotels, when I would think when we stay at the Dream Hotel, like in LA,
Mm-hmm.
this is the first time I seen it. It was like last year, the year before, 2 years ago, but it's happening. But we'll order food from somewhere. Let's say just we're door dashing something, and then it brings it to the lobby, and then the little robot comes and brings it to us.
Oh,
It's
really?
so
That's crazy.
cute.
Yeah,
I love
that's so
it.
crazy.
I love it. I'm like, hey, little guy, he's like speaking to you. It's just like
Yeah.
that made me.
Oh my God, Albert.
That's why they
I
all
was like,
succeed.
yeah, I was like, wait a minute, this is kind of scary.
it kind of just comes back to the whole thing, like kind of like survival of the fittest, you know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
Dave and I've heard it said once that, you know, in wintertime there's some people that they freeze, there's some people that go skiing.
Yeah.
And it's all the way that you adapt, you know what I mean? And so if you want to be just a person that like, entry level worker and stuff like that, and you don't have a desire to grow, like you're gonna get left behind,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But if you
Yeah.
want to grow and you want to develop and take advantage of all these things, because it's allowing people to do things a lot faster.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, because social media, it's all fast paced, and it's like who's not even like what's the best, but who's the first to get it done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's who gets the success. And so you
Survival
have
of
all
the
these
fittest.
tools to our use that we're able to use, and if you learn it and you take the time to develop it, like you're gonna find success.
And I even feel though, like with our industry too, like during COVID, we had to go online and all the things, but when our doors open, everyone missed that human interaction. Like,
Yeah.
you can get a workout program from anybody, but can you talk to that person about what happened with your husband that day, or like
Yeah,
what's going on with your
yeah.
best friend?
Are
what
they
you're doing?
correcting your form?
Yeah, but I mean, even
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like that
Just the
connection of
connection.
having somebody to talk to, like.
Yeah.
But
I-
then
I
is
had a-
AI gonna turn into like
No,
a
well,
friend?
I had someone send me like it was that same guy. He created something like, "Hey, you're on your AI personal trainer in 5 minutes," and it's like, you tell him what your goal is, and it kicked out like a meal plan and stuff. I'm like, that's all cool, but trust me, I've been in this industry for a long time. You need
You do.
human
You
interaction.
need that
Yeah,
human
yeah.
interaction.
there's nothing like the motivation of having that. Now, if they come out with like a moving, fully functional robot, I'll probably start worrying.
Which they
Yeah.
are. Have you seen those
But I
robots?
mean,
I'm like,
like-
That's crazy.
Yeah, I
that was
mean,
that Will Smith movie,
Oh,
Robot or something.
iRobot,
iRobot. Yeah.
I think of
Listen.
iRobot. I mean, I'm older, so I think of Terminator, and like you said,
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
said, like the machines don't make mistakes. So their whole thing is like, well, you guys are fighting with each other, and you have Democrats and Republicans. It'd be better. You guys are
Imagine
destroying.
you
you guys
a
are
whole
destroying the
army
world.
or just a whole like police station, just all robots, just like
That's crazy. Yeah, they're like taking over, man.
Yeah, but I like that you said that, because a lot of people are opposed to AI in the sense of like it's going to replace jobs, it's going to do this, but your thing is kind of like use it to your advantage, use it to help you maximize your time, use it to help you like work more efficiently.
Yeah.
And,
work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like even I'll use AI for like a starter. Like if we have to write like a bio or something, like I want to see what it writes. It gives me an idea of where to start, and then you kind of make it your own. So
Yeah.
so AI, I think it's going to be crazy, because I mean, like even you have a young daughter. It's like, what is school going to be like for them? Like
You could
Oh, I didn't
literally
think
get
about
your
that.
whole
What
like
is
that kind
school?
of
What
that's
is
kind of scary though.
papers?
Like imagine like you have these doctors and they're in school and they could just they pass their whole course with
Yeah,
just
yeah.
chat GPT.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, because even like
But
with
then
Siri,
doctors will be replaced with machines.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking. I mean,
Yeah.
like, even like my daughter knows how to.
Yeah.
My daughter knows how to use Siri, so she'll be like, "Hey Siri, da da da," and she knows stuff like that. I'm
Yeah.
like, if we would have like when I was a kid, like, oh, there's a phone that you can talk to, or even like Amazon.
Gives you all the answers. Like,
yeah,
whoa.
it's crazy. I remember a math teacher was like, "What are you guys gonna do? Walk around with a calculator the rest of your lives?" And here we are with one built-in.
You
to
don't
our
even
phone,
need it.
right? You don't
Yeah.
need it. So I think like simple things like that are going to go. But I mean, I think it will always be for the better. And I think the strongest ones survive, the ones that learn how to adapt with it. So I mean, it is an interesting take, because some of these people's posts, I know for damn sure it's
They don't-
AI.
When they're like, all of a
for
sudden
sure,
they have like
yeah.
paragraph posts, and you're like,
Remember, I had that text message. It was supposed to be all.
I was like, you don't talk like that. Right?
no.
Furthermore, bro, you can't-
Yeah, further when.
I was, you don't even know what that word is.
yeah, you don't even difference between there and there. Now it's like writing paragraphs.
At least switch out a couple words to
Yeah.
make it sound
Yeah.
like it came
Come
from
on.
me, okay?
And that's the thing, and that's why it's just being authentic as best as you can, and that's why threads is so important. You know what I mean? Because like it's more personable. You know what I mean? Like, and it's I guess people can get it eventually where like they're just copy and pasting paragraphs from open AI, but like people want to see your personality and what you think on different things.
But I think
Yeah.
now too, you can like if you want to know if somebody used AI or chat, like you can copy and paste their thing into it. And it'll tell you if it in there
Really?
too. That's what I was told, that like you can see if it was.
Yeah, I think there's sites for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are sites where you can see that it was. Yeah, I think it was. You can see if it was.
For plagiarism reasons, for like schools and stuff.
That's actually okay.
Yeah.
That's actually smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually smart because if you have an essay, you write it. Okay, that's actually that makes more. I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it
a
has to
little
be
bit.
like below
Yeah.
like a percentage mark. You know what I mean? Because like you
Wow.
can utilize these things, but it has to be original thought too.
Yeah.
What
Because
is
people
it?
used to pay people to write essays for
Yeah.
them.
Exactly.
Do you know how many nurses I know that have told me that they the only reason how they pass nursing school is because they have people writing, they doing all their homework for them,
Oh,
writing all their essays for them, all of their like literally.
Please
And they're
tell me
just
where
like,
these
and nursing
nurses
school is
work,
the
so I
easiest thing because
never
they
know.
cheated their way through it, the whole thing. Yes, I'm putting them on blast. I'm
Are we
sorry.
gonna have to cut this out, Em? Or
But I'm just saying, but that's the thing is like it's happening, and then it scares me because I'm like, you mean to tell me my life is in some of these people's hands, and you
Yeah.
cheated your way through school?
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, but
That's scary.
I mean, I don't want to get too down the rabbit hole of like politics and stuff like that, but I mean, there's doctors that have gotten
I
into
know.
schools because of X,
Yeah.
Y, Z.
Did you ever watch Suits?
It's true. No, that's what
No.
I'm saying. It's just scary.
It's like that.
That's
It's
a
scary.
lawyer show,
The
right?
lawyer, yeah.
I've seen clips of it on TikTok.
Yeah,
It's
that's-
very interesting.
TikTok.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he does that. He takes the bar for people out of Harvard and things like that, and he just takes the bar. So
But he has like a photogenic memory, right? Yeah, it's
crazy.
funny. But now it's just machines
Yeah.
that have the memory.
And so I feel like people have and always will cheat somehow.
Yeah.
It's changing how they cheat. You know,
Yeah.
like you said, like before other people were writing essays for other people, and now it's just AI doing it. You know what I mean? And so I don't feel like it's too much of a worry. Like for the future, like they're gonna be people that have the genuine desire to learn certain things and to be great at it. You know what I mean? For doctors and different stuff like that, like. You might get stuck with the nurse who maybe that might be that situation. Like, sucks for you, but that's not every nurse, you know?
It might take them a few times to get that needle in your vein, but
Right.
it's fine.
Oh my God.
That's happened to me, so that made me think now. Like this girl
She cheated for sure.
like 4
Someone's mom is like a bomb nurse, and they're like, "Oh, Mija, I could show you how
I'll
to do all
show
this."
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's so funny. So before I switch gears, real quick for some of the people listening, what would be the best cheat sheet to maximize your, I guess, following on Instagram? We're going to go through the list. So on Instagram right now, what are like 3 of the easiest things you should be doing now to try to get those followers?
Give us the answers.
So the answer is, and it's going to be like, well, I knew that, but it's kind of like what I came back to, just consistency thing. So it's like finding the communities that like niches that you want to be in. So like for myself, like there's creative coaches and stuff like that. So intentionally outdoor their page, you know, like their stuff, comment on their stuff. And what that also does, it'll help, you know, like when you go to someone's page, you follow them, it'll give you like suggested people.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how you help that algorithm too. Like you're engaging with them, you're in that industry. And so like when people go follow them, you can possibly come up as a suggested person too.
So is
Okay.
liking
Yeah.
and commenting on people's photos like kind of huge for your
Oh,
like
absolutely.
engagement, big for your to gain following on Instagram
No,
too?
absolutely, because
Ah.
like it goes back to like what I said was like they want to keep you on their app. They want to keep you engaged.
You
in their
guys start seeing me
content,
liking
yeah.
and commenting on
Liking,
everyone's
like,
photos.
Jason's
Mine
good at that.
is
Jason,
fine.
dude,
Yeah.
he likes and comments on everything. I was like, how does he do this?
Bro,
Like, I have the time for that.
you know, it's a good and bad because sometimes people will post something really deep, and I'm like, "Oh, fire emoji," and I go back and read it. I'm like, "Bro, I have to go back and delete." I'm like, "Dude, I'm so sorry." Like,
Because
there
you're
was,
just good. You're
yeah,
just being-
because I mean,
Autopilot, you know?
No, but I mean, it goes back to like the reason why. Like, I get a lot of friend requests. Like, a lot of people like, why don't you follow me? I even get people that are mad, like, why don't you follow me? Because I have 2 gyms, so I have like close to 100 trainers, right? So my goal is to try to like get them out there. So every time you go on my page, it's all trainers and people I know. So those are people I really mess with. So I want to like, show them love, and I want to make sure I have enough. If I'm following 3,000 people, you're going to get lost in the sauce somewhere.
Yeah,
so for
100%.
me, I kind of limit who I follow unless it's business oriented. Like
in the
unless
season of your life. At that
yeah,
moment.
unless I've met you before in person. Like there's some people I follow that have nothing to do with fitness, but I know you on a personal level. So, I do. But I'm quick on it, dude. I'll like, so don't ever post anything. Like make it emotional in the beginning. Don't like, funny story. I'm gonna like that right away.
It's funny because like something that you said, and I've literally seen your account from like a couple hundred, so you have like over 14,000 followers now, and so the misconception a lot of people get is I want to grow a big following, like that's what's important, but it's really I want to grow a big community. And community is so much more important than a following. So you have people that have 1 million followers, but because they're just a girl and they post pictures of their butt, but they have no like real community there, and so that will not convert as good to sales or whatever it is that you're trying to do, as opposed to like a micro influencer with like 5,000 10,000 followers who can move people to do different things. And so I've even seen like working with like different brands, like people are now focusing more on micro influencers, you know what I mean, as opposed to paying this one person with 1 million followers $10,000 to post this. They're paying $2,000 to 5 different people to post because they're getting more of a community and it's more of a close knit, and they're getting more sales and more results from it.
We noticed that with Rain firsthand, right?
Yeah, Rain does a lot of Rain has a lot of big people, but they also did a shift and they're doing like a lot of micro.
Yeah, they just started rolling that out.
Yeah, they started doing more, and it makes sense. I mean,
and no wonder I've been getting in my email just like so many like different like companies and brands, and I haven't responded. I'm so bad at it, but I was just like out of nowhere, but just like every day there's like 20 like different companies in my thing just asking to like collab.
I always delete
but I'm
those.
just like, but nope, some of them are actually big, like good stuff where I'm like, oh shit, I need
gotta
that.
respond
Oh, I
to
love
those.
coconut water.
Yeah.
Oh, I want that little Charlie thing that's gonna help to what is it for your water? You like hook it up and it helps to like clean your water when you
filter it,
the
like
filter
filter
your
it.
water.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
like that. I'm like, oh, wait. So there's actually some good things in there. I need to start doing. That's all I think about it. You just reminded me.
So what about with the new threads? What's like a quick little cheat sheet for someone that's it's so new? So what
Quick
would you say?
threads, rethread what people are saying and give your own opinion on it, you know what I mean? And I feel like you can be like funny, you can be like serious, you can be like controversial. All that stuff is good, you know what I mean? Like
You don't have to put yourself in one box.
yeah,
right?
you don't it's just your thoughts, you know what I mean? And so like someone like myself, my mind's all over the place, so like sometimes I'll post different stuff and I'll see, and then it's a lot of like trial and error. Like you see, okay, well, people engage better with this than this, so then you start making more threads like based off of the other thing that worked. And so like I said, like we're like week 1 of threads, so I don't have too much information.
Yeah.
It's almost a week. Yeah,
I think it just
I just
I
hit
feel like why do I feel like it's been longer?
No,
No,
because
it's like a week.
it came out the
Yeah,
day
last
after the
week.
holiday or something like
Yeah.
that, right?
Sheesh.
And I think it came out like the day after the holiday.
so I wish I had more information for you on that. It's like,
No, I mean, but it's just
Yeah,
good
yeah.
because I mean, I feel like because it is associated with Meta and Instagram, I think some of the suggestions they're gonna go hand in hand with each other, right? Like liking and engage. What it usually comes down to, what I tell people is liking and engaging. I always tell people, don't post and ghost. That's the worst thing you can do. Even like if I do like a poll on my thing or I ask a question, I always make sure to try to repost at least 10 people's, because if you answer someone's questions or polls and it never gets reposted, you never get out there. I want them to have that
They're not
shine.
gonna- they're
It's
not-
like, why am I
yeah.
going to engage with you?
Yeah,
They're going to engage
for
with
sure.
me.
So that's even like a little hack, I guess you can do right there. So the days when you're gonna post something, whether something important or something that a good post that you're like, okay, I want to make sure I get good engagement on this, like doing polls on your story that day in the morning, asking questions, different stuff. That's gonna get people to engage in it, and that'll kind of boost you. Like, okay, like in a sense, like warming up your page for that post. So then when you post, because the engagement's higher than usual, that post is gonna be seen by a lot more people too.
So post prior to the post, not the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah, but like on your stories
Yeah,
and stuff like that, like
for sure.
you know what I mean. Even like giveaways or different stuff. I don't know,
Yeah.
like who's the funniest thing? I'll shoot you $5 or you know,
Yeah.
quote or something, like whatever, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that's worked too with like views on stories is, especially now with Threads, is I used to post like random, you know, just thoughts on you know, black out the picture, background. But now it's like the least. I would say if I get like 5 or 6 stories, it gets the most engagement now compared to when I was doing like 10, 11 stories, because I don't know if people just get bored of that. So now like all my thoughts and stuff go to Threads, and anything that has to do with importance goes to the stories. And it has worked. Like my views have shot up, and I don't know if it coincides with people are finding me on Threads and then going to my Instagram, because I noticed I've been getting a lot of that too. But it all comes down to engaging with the people that engage with you. I mean, the worst thing is like you have a celebrity and you message them, you know they're not going to see it, or even if they do, they're not going to engage. But something about like a micro influencer, maybe 100,000 followers, you message them and they message you back. That's huge for them. So even I noticed, like if someone messages me and it doesn't go to my spam because I don't really check that, I'll try to message them back and they're like, oh, I didn't think you'd respond. I'm like, trust me, bro, I got time. I'm not that big. And I think we all have time. And I think what it comes down to, and what I tell a lot of people, is you do actually have to treat social media more like a job than a hobby.
Absolutely.
And the mistake a lot of people make is they think, I'm just going to go on there and do one post. Oh, it didn't get a lot of traction. People must not like me. I'm going to stop. But it's almost like a trainer, right? You have to
Keep doing it.
consistently
Yep.
do it before someone buys something for you, right? So you get an ad for a car and you see it once, twice, and you see it for a month, and you see it for 2 months. You're like, you know what? Let me go check that out. And
I
so
think there's a specific number. I forget the
think it's
number.
at 7.
That a person
it's like-
has to see
Right.
this ad or this post before they actually
feel like
get
it's
drawn into
7 or
buying.
11.
like 4 to 7.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
something
And
like that.
I mean, it works. It's true.
Yeah.
It's like it's just staying consistent. Treat it like a job. Hire if you have the means to do it. If it's something that's important to you, hire an account manager. I mean, we're lucky. We have Ethan here, and Ethan handles a lot of the stuff for Mixtape, because there's no way I can do everything. We have the lead trainers handling it for West Covina, you know, and Chino Hills. So it's easy for us to kind of like have more time to do other things. But I think the mistake is, don't treat this like a hobby. Don't treat this like I'm gonna do it when I feel like it.
Okay, fine.
Do it every single day.
And then I think kind of something big too is like providing value and making sure. And so knowing who your followers are and knowing their pain points and their needs. And when you're able to identify those things and you post about it, like they're going to engage a lot more.
Yeah.
So I know off the bat, like mine, I have a lot of like entry level content creators or people that want to grow their business. And then I have a lot of people from church. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like my niche, where I'm like, you know, faith-based content creator, you know, giving you tips on how to do videos and different stuff, but also stuff to encourage you spiritually. You know what I mean? So I try to have a balance of that. And then I see, you know, like the engagement's pretty good. Like when I post reels, like I get pretty good engagement. You know what I mean?
You know, your reels are clean. And one thing you do a good job of is, obviously you do this for a living, is like your setup is so eye-catching. Like once I see like your reel come on, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna watch this because it's so eye-catching. It's not even like you're doing captions, it's just the aesthetics. I think aesthetics are everything when it comes to that.
So for somebody who has multiple businesses or different types of businesses, would you recommend they
It's
get
just for
different
herself.
Instagrams for each one that they do, or if their following is on their personal page, what would you recommend them to
I would
do?
definitely just utilize your personal.
Yeah.
You
And
know what
just-
I mean? Like even for my, I'm gonna adjust this soon, but like right now I don't even have my business like tagged on my bio on my Instagram.
You just post
like I
all of
want
it.
everything to come through me. You know what I mean? And so when people mess with you, doesn't matter what you do, like they'll back it up.
Yeah.
You know what I
Love
mean?
that.
So as you build your personal, and that's why I'm really big on building your personal brand, because then that transcends to other places. Like right now I'm a content creator, I have a content creation agency, but like this is not my end goal. Like I want to get into real estate. There's other things I want to do, but I know that with this foundation, no matter what I do, it'll translate to anywhere else I go.
Now, would you be posting your real estate and your content creating videos and your like anything else that you do and your church
Well-
videos all on your purse? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because obviously there's different people, like people that follow you for different reasons.
Yeah,
Do
so
you know what
I
I
went
mean?
to this convention and they were talking about it. It was a guy that he edits for Alex Hermosi and Rampany, different guys. And so it's like an 80, 20, 10, 80% of just your interests and stuff like that. 10% of like what you're doing now, and then 10% of what you've done, you know, business wise.
Yeah.
And so it's really because like even with he was talking about with Alex Hermosi when one of his most viral videos has nothing to do with business, has nothing to do with any of that. It's about what he orders from Chipotle. And
I remember, I saw that.
And you remember
Yes,
that.
I remember
People
that one.
that.
Yes.
And it has nothing to do with what he does for work, but it's one of his most viral videos, and it's drawn people like, oh, I like this video. Let me go to his page. Oh, he does coaching, or he you know what I mean? All the stuff he does. And so it just brings exposure to you. You know what I mean? And so even like posting faith-based stuff, I've got followed and had interactions with entrepreneurs who are faith-based, and so they want to work with me because like not only am I the answer to the problem, which is content creation, but they know I'm a believer, and so we have that
Common
connection,
interest.
you know, in that common interest, and so that makes them want to work with me even more.
Yeah.
So
That
let's
like, no, and trust factor.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
so switching the gears into like your faith, and you are a faith-based, you're big in the church, you help out with the content church. You started in Chino Hills, now you guys are opening
Hollywood.
in Hollywood, so I know you're big on that. Is there things that you won't shoot at just because of your faith? So like if a girl that does OnlyFans is like, hey, I need a setup, like, you know what I mean? I'm not saying porn, but if it's something like that's pretty provocative, would you attach yourself, like your media company, to it, or do you?
Probably not.
Probably
and
not.
so that's kind of just something that I made that decision early on when I started creating content. Like I knew what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. You know what I mean? And it's not so much because like I have like this horrible problem, I'm against those people and I don't want nothing to do with that. But like in my perspective, it's always like I'm people focused and I want to help people. And so I know that I can go and work with this girl that's an OnlyFans person, and you know, and just it's work, I'm in and I'm out. You know what I mean? But maybe there's a young person that's following me that wants to create content, but they have this bad struggle with lust, where like, you know, them go doing something like that, it could open doors to other things that wouldn't be beneficial to their walk with God. And so it's not so much like the standards where this is just what I think, but it's just like about the people that I influence.
And it just
I
doesn't,
think of
it's
that.
not your brand.
Yeah, it's not my brand. So like and I've let go of different opportunities with like cannabis companies, like lingerie companies and different stuff, or like shooting for like events that are like crazy. And like even though we talked like you about going to like the club and stuff like that after, I'm like, I won't go. Like, I'm sorry, you know? And it's just like those are my personal convictions, and I don't judge anyone that's doing those things. And I could be relational with them and they're my friends, but it's just like that's just not my lifestyle. That's not what I want for my walk with God, and that's not what I want for my business. And ultimately, like that's not what I want for my marriage. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to put my wife in a position where she's dealing with insecurities because I'm working with all these girls all over the place. And at the end of the day, like I'm a man, you know, and men make mistakes. You know what I mean? Men have desires, and so I don't want to put myself in a position where I could compromise my marriage or my walk with God or anything like that. And so that's kind of just my take on it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I told you guys he's the best. No, but I mean, we've talked, and it's funny too, because I just have such a profound respect for you, because you're always very straightforward with me. And this is like, I don't know if you remember, we did the Fit Expo, and then I was like, hey, Savi, like we're gonna go to a club, like I want you to shoot the club. And he goes, I'll shoot everything else, but I'm not going to go to the club. And I was like, no, you don't have to drink, like you don't have to shoot all these girls. He goes, but I know what the club environment is, and I just don't feel comfortable. So I was like, okay, cool. And like there's a lot of things, you know, and we've kind of talked. There's one time I posted a story and I used like a profanity with God's name or Jesus's name kind of next to each other, like I effing love whatever. And then, you know, you DM me and you're like, hey, you know what, that's to me, like you're my boy, but that's kind of offensive. And, you know, and I respect you. So I'm like, you know what, you're right. I'll take that down. And I took it down. So for me, I always hold you up here. So like when I come to you for like questions on faith or questions on, you know, you stand by what exactly you preach. You're not up here saying like, oh yeah, you know, I care about my faith and this and that. And then you're shooting a lingerie thing or things that will compromise it. And I think you walk that, like that's your calling card, right? So now that you're like so deep and you're working with 2 churches, do you feel like social media itself has kind of like impacted the church in a positive way or a negative way?
I think both. You know what I mean? Because at the negative way because people are in the church and people are imperfect. And you know what I mean? And so I always tell people when they're like, oh, well, this person's in the church and they're doing this and that's why I don't go to church. But I was like, we're people. We are imperfect people. If there is a perfect church, the moment I step foot in that church is no longer perfect because I'm not perfect. and nobody's perfect. You know what I mean? And so there are people that sometimes, just like in any industry, they go in with agendas and stuff like that, and that's where it really comes down to the condition of the heart. Like there's, you know, people that they want to be part of church leadership. They want to grow because they like having a platform. They like being the guy. They like the attention, and their hearts are not in the right place. And that's why issues happen. Like there's different, you know, I don't even need to name them, but like there's people that like have been big pastors, influential people with celebrities, and they fall, they cheat on their wife, they get
Commit suicide.
commit suicide, a bunch of different things, because at the end of the day, like we're people. And so that's what it's kind of influenced in a negative sense, but there's bad in everything. You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
true.
you know what I mean?
It's true.
Anything, because we're people. And in a positive sense, definitely, because, you know, before like social media and everything, like how do you reach more people? Well, you know, you go out and evangelize, you talk to people, you pass out flyers, you know, you pray for people on the streets, or you just bring in people that are your family and stuff like that. And so what I tell my media team at church is like the social media is like the new street corner. Because like with us, like the street corner represents, like we would have rallies before, you know, back in the day, and we would like preach on bullhorns, and we're talking about Jesus, and we'll just witness to people. And you know, maybe there's 50 people on the street corner, or if it's a busy area, you know what I mean? But now you post a video, it could be seen by millions of people.
It's
You
true.
know, and so it's have that. And there's a lot of people who maybe they've gone to church, you know, but they got hurt by church, you know, because
Yeah.
I said people are imperfect, and so they've had bad experiences with pastors or leaders or different stuff, and so they no longer go to church, but they can still have church there on social media.
Yeah.
They can still hear the gospel, they can still go on and hear like worship songs or whatever it is, and get that, you know, that moment with God. And so that's why I would say it's like a positive thing too.
So like a lot of the people you have in your church that are in I guess positions of power, is there anyone, or have you ever said anything to anyone that maybe posted like a story, like maybe they go out and they're wearing something a little like a female, or wearing something like a shorter dress, or does that is there in the inner working of church, is there like a meeting you guys have where it's like, hey, we're all looked at on a pedestal, you got to be very careful on what we post and what you can't, like, and have you ever had to confront someone in the church for like maybe straying a little too much on the risque side when it comes to social media?
No, definitely. And with, especially with my church, like we're more conservative, you know what I mean? Like super conservative in our thinking. And so it's more like, okay, if you want to be in a position of leadership and you want to be on platforms and all that, then this is the guidelines that you should follow. But if you just want to be a church attendee and you just want to come worship God, then you can do whatever you want. You know what I mean? But it's just more like in a position of leadership, because you're in a place of influence.
Right.
You know what I mean? Kind of going back to what I was saying about the media. So it's like, if you're like this church leader and, you know, and you can go to like a club, or you could go dancing and stuff like that at a nightclub, and maybe you could just have a good time. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? But if you have someone that looks up to you and they go there, but it's like maybe they struggled with alcoholism before that, and so they can't be in that environment because they're compromising themselves. So then, because you're just posting yourself here doing this, like you're like putting their salvation at risk, or relapsing and different stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so that's the biggest thing with us, is just like the influence we have, you know what I mean? And kind of being careful. And even because like I've had conversations where people are like, hey, you know, like be careful with the stuff you post. When I be at the gyms, girls are like in booty shorts, like little cut shirts and all that stuff, you know what I mean? And it's not so much because, oh well, we don't like those people or nothing like that, or we judge those people, because we don't, but it's just the people I influence that sometimes certain environments can trigger
It's like
them.
by association.
Yeah, guilty by association, and getting triggered. You know what I mean? Because there's things that, like we're talking about, people have not dealt with, and insecurities, and that's something that I've kind of been big on. I really don't like the word trigger. You know what I mean? Because for us, like in the faith, like a trigger is like, in a sense, like could be the Holy Spirit speaking to you. You know what I mean? Like the trigger, like, okay, why this makes me feel some type of way, but why does that make you feel some type of way? You know what I mean? And it's because there's trauma, there's things that you've dealt with, or there's people that have hurt you, or there's experiences that you've had that you've kind of just pushed under a rug, you haven't dealt with, and that's why you feel that way. And so we're taught the culture now is, I don't want to trigger people. But if people are getting triggered, they're not realizing the issues that they have.
Right.
And then late, and it won't be a big deal now in the early 20s and everything. But once you get married, you know,
Yeah.
or once you start having kids and these triggers, like they become issues in your
Yeah.
life, you know what I mean, that can affect your marriage, can affect your relationship with your kids, with your family or anybody, your business, anything, you know, things with like integrity, different stuff like that. It's like we got to deal with these things.
Yep.
You know, we got to heal, we got to, you know, and for us, and I'm not saying what you have to believe, what I have to believe, but it's just, we pray unto God and we ask God, deal with these things, help me expose these things, help me heal from these things, and that's how we get better.
Yeah, no, I mean, what hit the nail on the head for me is like, you do have a lot of people that look up to you, and I'm pretty sure in the church, you have a lot of young men that look at you and your marriage and your family, and even me, I get motivation off of that. But if you're in a position where you're posting like females in maybe shorter clothes or booty shorts, young men are very, I don't know, not that we're triggered, but if we see too much of,
Impressionable,
if we see too much of that, it is hard. Like you got to be able to put yourself in a box and be like, okay, this is what I'm going to show to my audience, and it is a big responsibility.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like, you're very young, do you feel like it's ever been too much for you to handle, like being this person?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll be very transparent, like, and this is not like, I'm 30 right now, but this is something I've been doing since I was 18.
Yes.
And so I got saved and I went to our Bible school. I graduated our Bible school, and then I was running a youth ministry at 18 years old, you know, leading people that were almost my age, you know, and then I got sent to be like a staff at the Bible school. And then there was a season where, like, you know, I was young, you know, obviously I made a mistake and I slept with some girl that I shouldn't have slept with, obviously, because we're not married, and that's something that we believe in. And so I've made mistakes, and then I remember like stuff like that messed with me for a long time, you know. And then I would begin to think like, you know, maybe I'm not supposed to be in ministry, you know what I mean, or like I blew it, I messed up my opportunity, because now people are gonna judge me, they're gonna perceive me in a certain way, and now I look back at it like, man, I was just young, and like I made mistakes, and everybody makes mistakes, and I think people that I affected in a negative way because they looked up to me back then, you know what I mean, like they're in my life still, because it's not so much like the mistakes you made, but like how you respond to them and go with like, because now I was 19, 20 years old, now I'm 30, like 10 years later, like I'm still serving God, I'm still in ministry, I'm still helping people. I've made mistakes, but my mistakes don't define me.
They don't define you.
You know what I mean? And so definitely, but now more than ever, like it just makes me more cautious,
Right.
because when I was, you know, I was young, I was a little arrogant, I had ambitions in ministry and things I wanted to do, and there's things that I thought I was above. Like, I won't do that, you know what I mean? But it's like with compromise, and this is all for faith, but it's like with sin and stuff like that, like it's not like, it doesn't just happen overnight, but like sin is like gradual, like it happens little by little, like little things that you compromise that you shouldn't have. And this can apply not just to faith, but anything in our life, you know, with diets, business, whatever, you know what I mean? Like compromise happens little by little.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, it's something that you can't control.
Right.
And that's where mistakes are made. And then, so that's why, like, now, before I was not as cautious of the things I post or just doing what I want, but now it's okay, I won't post certain things, I won't be in certain areas, I won't be in certain conversations, because I don't want to compromise what I have now.
And I could attest to that.
Yeah, 100%.
Since 2019 that I've known
you. Have not changed. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to say, I mean, you have evolved, but you as a person to us, I mean, even I know we go into situations sometimes that are a little crazy, but your relationship with us has never wavered, and you've always wanted the best for us and us in return, because you're just a genuine human being.
I mean, not even that. Just going back to what you said, like, and I do, you know, I respect it a lot. Like, not putting yourself in those positions. Like, I go back to the club thing, right? Like, you were gonna get paid. I know you were still a hungry videographer, photographer, and you were taking anything. So, you know, you turned down money because you had a certain set of beliefs, and you didn't want to compromise that. And that was like 3, 4. Well, no, it was almost 5 years ago, right?
2020.
No, it was 2019.
No,
2020.
The expo was a
It was
month.
January, and then
It was
COVID
2 months
happened in
before
March.
COVID.
Yeah.
We were like, life
3
is
years
good.
ago. Oh, that fast.
Sorry,
So I mean, kind of going back to that, like, I've noticed too, like, it's almost cool now to be a pastor. It's like the new trend. You see people up there, and I always call it, and again, I call it the Carl Lentz effect, right? He's a guy from Hillsong.
Yeah.
He was, I mean, we talked about it before. He had like a $10,000 YSL jacket that I still want to this day, but I won't do. You know, he was rocking Rolexes. He was chilling with Justin Bieber, and everybody's like, "That's what a pastor should be." So obviously,
He made it cool to go to
Yeah,
church.
it's cool.
Yeah.
Pastor.
So now,
that's
like,
a whole movement.
So now, like, because I follow you, and maybe because I like a lot of your stuff when it comes to ministry, or your wife posts stuff. Like, I get a lot of pastors that pop up on my Explorer page, and they're always looking the same. They have like the
Flexing,
they have it's like a slight flex, but I get it. They have like the dopest clothes on. Their hair is always perfect. Not to say you gotta you want to represent yourself.
Few tattoos,
Right,
maybe.
a few tattoos.
Yeah.
So do you feel like that's becoming an issue in just church in general, like where people are doing it because they want the platform? Obviously, if you get a church going, it pays well, but rightly so. Like we talked about, that you should be compensated for doing the research, doing the Bible study, helping people. I don't disagree with that whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I feel like now this is being a pastor has become almost like that's a new wave, or I can get money, have a platform and stuff. Do you feel like that's negatively affected the church in general?
No, absolutely. And there's always going to be people like that. You know what I mean? Like even from Carl Lentz, like he was a person who went through like a Bible school that they had, and he saw what could be. And what's sad about the church is like, if you're talented and you have skill sets, you're going to get opportunity right away. And sometimes they can overlook character flaws because you're skilled and you're talented, just like in the workforce. You know what I mean? Anything, that's what kind of gets you opportunity. But it is like, it's like a fine line. I would say that there's people that they want to remain relevant because they want to be able to reach people. And I totally get that. You know what I mean? And so, I want to be relevant too, because I want to reach more people. And so you reach people and help people in their walk with God by being able to have that something in common. But then it's that fine line. And on the other side of that is like, okay, then are you starting to look more like not like Christ? Or you're trying to look more like the world? Because ultimately we're trying to get people to Jesus. We're trying to get people to heaven. Like that's the ultimate goal of Christian. You know what I mean? We're trying to reach people and take them to heaven. You know what I mean? So why are we trying to compromise and be something more like the world, or something not like God to reach them? You know what I mean? So it's a super fine line.
Kind of like you're not going to be the pastor for everybody.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you shouldn't try.
everybody,
Yeah, you shouldn't try to be.
There's no one that's going to be the pastor of the world. You know what I mean? And so same thing with like social media. You have your communities, you have the people that you're able to reach and you're able to impact and make a difference. And I'm grateful to be part of a ministry that, it's been around since 1967.
Wow.
Our founder, was like from New York, and then he came to East LA, and his heart and his passion was to reach drug addicts and gang members. And so that's how
I would go to those plays, and then they would have the little carnival outside, and it would be like about like gang scenarios and things like that. Those plays.
And so like now 50 plus years later, like we're still reaching those people. We have recovery homes in a lot of our churches that are completely free. Like you don't have to pay a dime. You come into and you get, you get a bed, you get food, and you get, they help people break addictions and stuff like that. But it's also like evolving because like I'm not a drug addict. You know what I mean? I'm not a gang member, but like I fit in there. And also a lot of these people that came from that lifestyle, now they got saved and they never went back to that. And so they have kids that are adults now that don't know that life either. And so our ministry has like evolving, and I forgot what I was even going for with this, but yeah, so like I'm grateful to be a part of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I've had opportunity in the last few months to go to like Panama, because we have a big church there, and we at Guadalajara. I've been to Amsterdam, Dublin Island, Manchester.
Wow.
Like, I didn't go. My brother's been to South Africa. Like, we've literally been able to travel the world just because of the ministry we're a part of, and we're like truly making an impact. And so that's why we have to have like strong values, and because we're trying to protect what God is doing, through our lives. And so if we know as soon as, if you let some compromise in, and then it becomes a Carl Lentz situation where it's like a cause and effect, where like, a lot of people that weren't even part of Hillsong New York, where he was at, left me too, because it started just unraveling a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, if I make a mistake here in Hollywood, where our church is going to be, but we're having international ministry, like it could affect people all around the world.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so that's why we're just so careful.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the job of a pastor is an extremely difficult one, because of the fact that what you alluded to is that we all make mistakes. We all have urges. We all see things that may I don't want to say trigger, but may trigger something that's in
No,
there.
it's fine, you can say it, yeah.
Right. And and I always thought it was an extremely hard job because you have so many people that look up to you, and like one mistake you made, like we talked about,
amplified.
is
Right,
amplified.
yeah.
So like I honestly do hope that Carl Lenz comes back to
Yeah.
preaching, you know, because I think he does
is.
that. I think he's great at what he does. Obviously, his skill set
Amazing
is
at what he does.
speaking. He has a, you know, he follows his work. I mean, especially now if you saw the documentary, kind of talking about, you know, him and his wife are back together. I think he's at peace right now, and he even said like I don't see that for me right now because I don't think he wants to compromise. You know, he doesn't want to get back in that limelight, and then maybe that's his trigger to kind of do that stuff again.
I think what's sad about the whole thing too is that like going back to what you said, like you're human, right? Like you made mistakes. You made mistakes in your past.
Yeah.
He made this mistake, but where was his whole team to like help be there for him? You know what I mean? And help support him through this mistake.
yeah.
Everyone just kind of left him in the street.
Yeah.
Was just like, but like nobody helped. Nobody. There was nobody there to like
Yeah.
be that Christian family for him. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
just helped support him in this time where he really needed people the most.
No, definitely, and that is an issue with the church today. Like I've said before, like the church is the only, like, because we say like we're the army of God. You know what I mean? We're the only military that kills its own wounded.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
It's true.
And so when
Sad.
people make mistakes and stuff like that, and I've experienced it firsthand. Like people that when I made my mistake, people that I was closest to, people that I was serving under, you know, kind of just, all right, see you later, you know, get right, you know. And so that affected me for a season. There was times where like I didn't want to serve God anymore, and like I didn't want to keep doing ministry, you know what I mean? But
It's contradicting, kind of.
it is, and that's because it comes back to they're people.
Yeah.
We're all people.
Yeah,
And what's cool now for me is like because I made that mistake, like I have like a soft spot for people that made similar mistakes. And so now when I hear of people that, you know, that I know of that are in ministry and they've made mistakes or they've got sat down because of different stuff, like I'm always the first one to reach out to them. Like,
Nice.
hey, are you good? Do you need anything? Like, you know, I'm here for you. Like I'm praying for you, like whatever I can do. And it's just because there are people that, you know, maybe haven't made that mistake, so they don't know what it's like. You know what I mean? They haven't experienced it. So in a sense, they don't have the same grace for it.
Yeah.
You know, as them. And so that's how that happens. But you know, when you've made mistakes, like in anything in life, like, and you see people making mistakes, you don't judge them, but like, man, you feel for them because
course.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you empathize because
Exactly.
you've been there. So I mean, no, that's great. And I've always, you know, you're probably the person I trust the most on this topic, and that's why, you know, speak well about it. I've seen you over the years. I know you walk with your faith. You know, your beautiful wife, your beautiful daughter. So I mean, you've accomplished a lot, you know, and I know there's more to your story and more
Yeah.
things that you want to do. I want to leave us with this. Zara is how old?
She's 2.
When does she get to use social media?
Yeah.
Well, I know Nora made her one already, so she
No,
has an
does she?
Instagram.
She has one?
She-
No, but
yeah,
I mean, like Zara, like when's the appropriate
Oh,
age?
she's gonna start using
is
it?
she gonna start using it?
To be honest, probably not until like middle school or high school.
Middle school or
Like,
high
I'm
school.
trying to like.
There's no reason why children need to be on Instagram. There's just too many
Yeah.
things that
But
are
even
not.
like YouTube is like a
but there's
social
no
media
yeah,
too.
and I just don't agree with that because you want to know why? Because there's just so many things that are accessible that they can just accidentally come
Right.
across.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
100%.
I just don't feel
Well,
like there's any reason for
it's
children
crazy.
to be.
My daughter's 3, and my wife and her will like cook something, and she always wants to do it like a YouTube. So she'll have a camera and she'll be like, "Okay, guys, today."
That's so cool.
You're right. And we're like, "Oh,
I love that.
this is your
Cute.
YouTube." But so what I've learned is like, do I want to like pull her away from that, or now that's the world? Like,
Yeah.
yes, there's a lot of things she could be exposed to, but I mean, you could be exposed to a lot
Yeah.
of that stuff at school.
Yeah.
You could be a lot exposed
It's
to a lot
very
of stuff.
true.
So I would love for her to be proficient on like maybe even a YouTube, maybe even social media, but obviously that you want to put some limitations there. So
And you could run that for her
Yeah,
at
I was
the
gonna
same
say that.
time.
Like,
Do you
that's
know
what
what
I
I
would
mean?
do,
You
like,
would run it
manage
for
her
her.
account.
Yeah,
it's so funny too. I'll have to post them when it's like
Yeah.
they're,
You do,
they're-
you should
they're
post
making like
it.
smoothies, and she's like,
Oh,
"Which one do you think, Dad?" So I will have to take a drink. I'm like,
That is
thumbs up or
very
thumbs down.
great
Yeah.
content.
Yeah.
You need to post that.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I think that's what it'll be more collaborative content, like it is now. Like Nora does a lot of videos with
Oh my
her.
gosh,
like
her
I've done.
coffee one yesterday.
"Oh,
That like
cute."
melted my heart.
So
I'm not gonna
cute.
lie. Yeah.
Dad, do you want coffee? I was like,
Yeah.
And she's like 2 years old, and so because like that's the crazy thing, like how impressionable kids are. Like, because Nora makes me a coffee every day, so like it's a like
true.
espresso machine. Like it's
Oh,
not
it's
just
a whole
you press,
setup.
Yeah.
like
It's like
curate-
Starbucks status.
You know,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
And so, but she knows at 2 years old what buttons to press and how
She
to do
watches.
certain
They're
things. Yeah.
sponges. Children are sponges.
It's crazy.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, well, I guess because our daughters are around the same age or 2 years difference. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll come to that when they're like,
I'll follow your guys'
Are you
lead.
schooly? Like,
Follow the
what do
journey.
you do for schooly? Like, I don't even know. Like,
Oh, man, that's
definitely
a-
not public school.
that's a whole
private
nother-
school. I don't even feel like it's much better. I'm like, but I'm hoping by the time she gets to like kindergarten, like there will be more options.
More
And I think
options.
Yeah.
as she gets older, like I know right now I have a client. It's called EM. They're like a
Sports?
school. They're a sports.
Yeah.
School. And so it's really cool. Like they're only in class like 2 to 3 hours a day. And then they're on the field, they're lifting weights,
Yeah.
they're doing speed and agility, all this stuff. And so like I've interviewed these kids for different videos and different stuff like that. And they're like, yeah, we're just here because we want to be better. And so we don't have clubs and all that other stuff. Like
Yeah.
we're just here to focus on what
Their
we want
club
to
is
focus
their
on.
sport.
What they're
Yeah.
good at.
Exactly.
Love
Yeah.
that.
And so there's no agendas, there's no like clubs or different things trying to push. Like here's the
Yeah.
material, and then let's train and let's get
Wow.
better. So I'm like, maybe that's an option. But
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, I
definitely.
want to make sure the education's as
Yeah.
good as it is. But
Yeah.
the kids are good. But like all the kids that are graduating from there, like they're getting D1 offers.
Wow.
Because
That's
it's like
awesome.
the community and connection. So I'm like, okay, maybe that's an option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know yet. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's only 2. We won't
Yeah.
talk too much on it.
Yeah.
Do
yeah.
school for sure.
I know.
For sure.
But again, thank you, Matt, for coming. We're gonna have all your social medias on there. And again, I always tell people, if you're a small business, if you're a large business, I think social media is extremely important for just to grow your business, to scale it, whether it be like online or just in person. So I highly recommend you either reach out to Matt. Maybe you can't afford it, maybe you can, maybe he can work with you. But if not him, someone else that can literally help you point you in the right direction when it comes to social media. But
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Definitely,
Thank you,
even if I
Matt.
can't help them, I'll point them in the right direction. I just want to provide value.
What a
But
great
thank
guy.
you guys.
What a
We
great
love
guy.
it. We love
Guys.
it.
That's guys. Yeah, thank you.
Bye.